currently on a voyage, and I had a thought that I wanted to share with everybody. I recently remembered this jewel, Impossible Escape, for Supreme Ego, and this fits perfectly on my build. I'm playing Reliquarian right now with Molten Burst, and I needed, because I'm playing so many auras, not really that many, but I'm playing Determination, Purity of Elements, and Discipline, and normally that would be 135% of your mana reserved, and I have some sources of mana cost reduction, like this implicit, and I'm also using a level 3 Enlighten, but I needed more. So rather than using this sovereignty wheel up here for 4 points, I went ahead, put this Impossible Escape jewel in, and that allows me to allocate these points over here, which fit really nicely for my build. So let's talk about charisma first real quick. And this video is kind of meant for people who maybe have never used this jewel or forgot about it because it's kind of been out for a while now. But it's extremely powerful for like endgame, I would say, when you're trying to squeeze out a few extra, million DPS from your build, or just extra auras and defensive layers. So this is one of the most powerful mana reservation nodes for people who don't know. 16% is really massive here. Compare it to like Champion of the Cause, which gives 8%, and Sovereignty, which gives 12%. This is a massive 16%, and it also gives Aura Effect 6% on it. So I have the option here, if I need to also take this 8% node, but I don't need it personally for my build, given the auras I'm running. And this is what allows me to run the 3 auras. If I didn't have this, I wouldn't be able to do, I'd have to take off the discipline. And for my build in particular, just to give a little more preview of what I'm doing right now in Molten Burst, I am running discipline because I have a Watcher's Eye somewhere in my build here. If I could find it, here it is. So I have a gain 23 energy shield per enemy hit while affected by discipline. So it's like life gain on hit, but the ES version of that. And I'm also using life gain on hit on my build. Currently I have it on my ring here with the Elder mod, 17 life per enemy hit. But recently, because I just took the Impossible Escape, I'm going to be able to drop that prefix on my ring and rely on this node. I'm picking up these two right now just for extra safety, but I'm not even sure that I need these 2 points because of the number of projectiles that I'm hitting with on this build. I'll just do a little showcase as we go real quick. I have multiple targets being hit by my Molten Strike and my Molten Burst, and all of these projectiles that are returning with Nimbus, we're looking at, like, I estimate over 100, well over 100 hits per second, maybe closer to 150 hits per second if there's a large target with like a lot of overlap on it. So if we say we take in like a conservative estimate of 100 hits, projectile hits per second, on this node that gives 15% chance to gain 200 life, well, 15 hits, that would be 15% of 100 is 15, and you multiply that by 200 life, that all of a sudden is 3,000 life on hit per second just from this one node. That's not accounting for these, and we're also layering on top a little energy shield. It's my energy shield's not that large right now. It's 1,100. I'm hoping to get that closer to 1,500 or 2,000, but for now, that buffer, it's allowing me, basically, when I'm taking these small hits from these monsters, I'm able to regenerate and recover instantly both my energy shield and my life. So the energy shield recovery gives my life a chance to kind of get back up to 100% after I take like a big hit, which is, I think this is a really powerful defensive layer. I'm not doing anything crazy right now with like, say like Divine Flesh converting chaos or elemental damage to chaos. I've been trying to think about like other defensive options I could do for this build. But as you can see, I'm running around. I'm not even using enduring cry often to get my endurance charges. I'm just running around without endurance charges on this build because it's I have so much recovery that I can afford, and like a size, a mid-size life and energy shield pool. Like this is what we're talking about, 6,700 combined life and energy shield as like a buffer between like taking the hits and them killing me. And so basically I'm recovering my life and ES like instantly. As long as I don't get one hit by the attack or spell, then I'm good and I'll be back to full. Um, so show you guys, and on this build obviously I can pop that was 3 molten strikes in a row right there, just to show you how many projectiles you can actually send out real quick when you want to clear the screen. And those are training projectiles on Vol Molten Strike. So as you can see on my build, the celestial orbs here are my Molten Strike, and then the red ones are Molten Burst, because you can't apply an MTX for that right now, as far as I know. I hope they allow us to do that maybe one day, but so let me just maybe talk a bit more about the build real quick. I'll give a little preview, and I'm planning to do a deeper dive full build guide on this pretty soon, because this build is actually turning out to be really strong. Maybe I can showcase like a boss here real quick or something. Screaming Invitation. I don't even know if I have 162 chaos right now, but no, I don't. So let me just get that. Okay, we've got our invitation, and I'm gonna get this as high as I can on quantity. Generally I'm looking personally for like in the 70s, and then I will hit it with a Vol Orb, but I'm gonna go ahead and just keep rolling it until I get more life. So here's 29% more monster life, and I think that's pretty good. So let's hit it. Okay, so at least this is 29% more monster life. And I'm going to run this with Ancestral Call on. I'm not going to even put on slower projectiles that I normally would put on for single target. Just to give you an idea of like really how strong this build can be for both clearing maps and in general. So I'm going to go ahead and pop Despair. I'm going to Enduring Cry, and then I'm just going to right click Standing in Place. And that's a 29% eater, kind of going down pretty quick. Okay, I'm going to Despair again, Enduring Cry, get some endurance charges, and this should be the end of it. Yep, just right clicking, standing pretty stationary. He didn't even attack me, I don't know why, but yeah, so that's what it looks like for bossing, and this is kind of designed to be somewhat of a boss killer because of all those overlapping projectile hits. We're doing a point blank build here, but we're getting the point blank from these Grelwood Shanks, and you see like the physical damage on my Grelwood Shanks is not really that impressive, and I don't even have quality on these, and that's largely because I'm not converting any of the physical damage to chaos damage. All of my damage is coming from replica Alberons here, based on my strength stacking. I finally got my strength above like the 2,000 mark to 2250, and I'm still looking to upgrade my amulet and ring, and I think maybe gloves down the road. And so I'm hoping that maybe I can squeeze out 2,500 strength on this build, and that's not really that high for as strength stacking goes. The reason I'm kind of getting that low number, I think, is because of Nimbus here. no strength off of this, and also Mage Blood, no percent increased strength here. So just the 42 strength, which I guess is a little helpful, but not, you know, not as good as the best in slot for strength stacking. Um, so right now I'm doing precise technique on the build. I was running crit, but I found that precise technique for this build is actually stronger unless and until you have extremely high investment in crit, a good crit strike multiplier, I think, and pretty decent crit chance, obviously. Um, and what that means is that I need to keep my accuracy under or over a certain point. Oh my gosh. So I've been doing all of that without, or maybe I don't know. I'll have to go back to the video, but I didn't have precision on, and so my accuracy, as you can see, is 46.99 right now without precision, and that's under my life. Once I put precision on, then it's over my life, and you can see my tooltip jump from 387 to 542 DPS on Molten Strike. But that's completely separate, and I think this is the melee hit that we're looking at here, not the projectiles, which is really the main damage on this build. And then you can see here, what is this, 47,000 damage per use on Molten Burst. But, so I guess that's like the midpoint of the range for chaos damage. But this is like low, I think. It's not, like tooltip is usually pretty like conservative as far as DPS. And this is per projectile though, just so that everybody who hasn't really looked closely at Molten Burst knows we don't get, as we do on Molten Strike, this line where it says projectiles deal 60% less damage with hits and ailments. Well, that doesn't exist on Molten Burst, which is really why I was drawn to this Ascendancy node, because if you get a ton of flat damage like we kind of are from Replica Alberons, all of that damage per projectile is going to be dealing damage to your target. And really the challenge is getting those to overlap and shotgun the enemy. And we're doing so mostly by taking these nodes. You could switch out one of these rings or add a third ring slot if you wanted to run one of those Pearl of Soatha rings that would support this passive skill tree node with a support gem like slower projectiles or concentrated effect, and that would get even more overlap here. But I'm pretty happy with like the balance of like clearing and single target damage right now that I have. So, but if you're gonna hyper specialize into boss killing, then that could be an option, but it comes at the expense of, I don't know if it's worth it, of a strength ring. Like my ring here is not that great, but I still would be losing out. If I take this ring off, I'm down to 1889 strength, so almost 300 strength gone. I don't know if I'm not willing to sacrifice that. And then Nimbus, I'm not willing to sacrifice that either, because that's basically near doubling your damage, I would say. Maybe not fully doubling your damage, but also just like the benefit of like life gain and energy shield per hit from all those twice the amount of projectile hits. That is like something that I don't think you want to give up on this build. So let me just talk a little bit about some of the cluster jewels that I've incorporated in here. On top of, so when I was talking before about using charisma for reservation efficiency, I also used a small cluster here for uncompromising, which gives 50% increased mana reservation efficiency for determination. This could have been for one of my other auras as well, but I just chose this one because I was able to roll this one, and I use this to kind of help fix my chaos resistance. My chaos resistance is a little bit low right now, 52. I'm aiming to get that to 75, but that's going to take more investment into this build. But this cluster is pretty decent. It's not perfect. Preferably, I would have liked to have had 5 chaos resistance instead of the maximum energy shield, and obviously +4 to all attributes would be a T1 roll on this. But the maximum energy shield actually does synergize quite well with this build, because I am kind of in need of an energy shield pool to make my discipline life gain on hit worth, having as a defensive layer. So that kind of does work out. And then my other cluster jewel down here is an 8 passive that I didn't really build for the purposes of strength stacking. I took this one primarily for unspeakable gifts to add an explosion component to this build, which I think is somewhat, somewhat effective. I'll go ahead and just showcase a map here real quick. So this is like a 119 quant map with minus all res, max res. What do I have here? Oh, that's fine. So I'll double those up. I'm just doing like pack size right now for magic monsters, hoping to, hit some. Oh, wait a minute. Hoping to hit a damnation like jackpot or a divine altar. I still haven't hit one this league yet, so on here I'm just gonna grab quant and rarity from these altars. Like I mostly am able to just click these altars without really looking at what it's adding, and I'm grabbing these shrines for my. I'm trying to level up right now to 98. I'm doing like a leveling push. I don't really care about this altar, so I'm just gonna leave that in case, in case I get like a divine altar later. Sometimes I'll leave those altars and come back to it if there's like nothing good on it. Now, some people obviously, okay, now it's got the gloom shrine, so that's not going to be my explosions, but some people will rush right to the boss so that they stop getting the boss altars, but personally, like, I don't know, I'm like okay with the boss ones. I'm not like hyper optimizing my clearing here, I don't think. But let me go ahead and turn off Gloom Shrine. It was about to run out anyway. And just so you guys can see, now Gloom Shrine is off. Those little purple explosions are my explosions. And this is what it would look like if I had a 2300. Oh, wow. Okay. That wasn't supposed to happen. That happened because my max all resistance is lower in here. It's like 68, so it's bound to kind of happen. But like I'm running around this pretty juicy map right now, with 68 resistance, and my energy shield layer and my life gain on hit is kind of carrying me, I would say. Like you can see my life bar dipping. The best thing I can do when I get into trouble, honestly, in some situations, depending on who the enemy is just to stand still and right click and get as many projectiles out as I can. And that is kind of the strategy for survival in mapping. Do the boss, see if we get a scrying orb out of this. Now, like, you can see I'm standing right... I'm going to stand still for a second and show you guys, like, some of these archers really hurt, so I don't want to stand still for too long. I don't know why these normal rarity archers hurt so bad, but I can hit... You see these, like... I can hit him from all the way over there with the greater ancestral call. That's how, like, the clear is not really that bad on this build. Like, some people laugh about melee clear, I guess, the idea of it, because it's not as impressive as, I don't know, kinetic blast or something, or a many shot luminary maybe. Like, those are, like, obviously really good clearing builds, but with all the extra strikes and the extra strike range, like, I can clear pretty decent. Like, we just survived this map. It's a pretty juicy map, and that's minus 16 to all res with the increased explicit modifier effect. Look at my armor. My armor is like barely there, non-existent, and we're still somehow surviving these maps. I don't have any portal scrolls. So that's it. Let me know if you guys are interested in anything in particular. Like, I'll make a video, like, for when I make the full deep dive of this. So I'm happy to answer questions, and hopefully, I'll get some people interested in this build. It's like so it is a pure chaos build at this point, and um, oh, that's the last thing I wanted to mention. Really, on the first point with charisma, normally I really like using charisma as my anoint on my amulet. Right now, I can't do that because I'm using this talisman, which takes the place of the anoint, the 15% increased attributes. But once I get a simplex amulet someday, hopefully when I can afford one, I will anoint it with Force of Darkness for because I'm doing a hit based. Um, I'm doing hit based chaos damage right now. I tried poison and I wasn't really impressed by the poison part of it, so I just went back to like hit based, and it has been pretty good just as a hit based character. And that's when Force of Darkness is, I think, probably going to be best in slot for chaos, 15 chaos resistance penetration from amulet anoint. And so because of that, I can't anoint my amulet with charisma. So the solution to conclude really is using impossible escape. And obviously, if you're not playing a build that needs charisma or doesn't, a lot of builds don't need excess sustenance. Look at other ones around the tree. Like some people really like imbalanced guard to get like Soul of Steel and Prismatic Skin. Like that's really powerful. And I don't know what else. Maybe I guess you can get this accuracy node if you take imbalanced guard here. But this is kind of just a reminder to people that impossible escape is a thing in the game, and it is really powerful and useful for lots of builds. And it's not just for this build that I'm playing right now. So if you guys found this video useful, of course, and if you guys are any new players are out there and are interested in any other topics, feel free to comment about it, and I'd love to talk more about things that are related to this build or just like improving our builds in general. But I am particularly interested in like melee builds. If you haven't read my channel description and such, I'm really big on like slams and strike skills, and this is the build that I was planning pre-league that I wasn't able to get into as a league starter because it was so like, I don't know, gear intensive, I guess I would say. Like to get it, I couldn't make it work other than as a chaos strength stacking build. I'm still thinking of ways, how can I make this work as a fire damage penetration, because as you can see, I'm not benefiting whatsoever from this 20% fire penetration on the Ascendancy. But I would love to hear if you guys think of an interesting way to make it work as a fire variant, and maybe maybe it would be a budget version as a fire variant. Maybe it would be an even higher investment one with like Enmity's Embrace for penetration. I think that could be potential for this, certainly. I haven't experimented with it, but like, please, if you guys are going to experiment with that, put some comments in here and let's talk about, some ideas. And I might even give it a try later in the league as well, switching off of chaos to fire. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching all the way to here, and I hope that this video was interesting and maybe helps out with your build. See you guys in the next one.